Mike, just you and I for this Champions League reaction.
We had to kick on Al for this podcast.
It's too much to process with the format.
Too many stats and numbers for him. He'll self-implode.
I'm going to apologize right now when we get to the matchups because I'm going to look down. There's
confusing.
There's like way too much to remember, too many teams.
I don't even think UEFA really
It's
knows
impossible.
what they're doing.
It's
a new format. It's difficult. There's so many more extra draws than need to be.
I know. I want to ask you about that. But we're going to go through the Italian teams, how they did in Champions League. We'll go through each match. We'll go through the Europa League as well, and then maybe some other notes on the Italian teams and where we look, because it really was not a good week for us because Spain is starting to catch up. We have a lot of Italians that might be matched up in the next round, and we know the fifth spot is very important. Premier League looks like it's secure for them. We had a 76% chance coming into this, but for some of the results that we're going to get to, we only had one team being in the top 8. Mike, I want to ask you right off the top, yes or no, do you like this new format?
I'm kind of undecided. There's pros and cons to this. I do like how you can play a wider variety of teams, but I also don't like that it's not fair in terms of you don't play them home and away. So it's like
I kind of like that. I kind of don't mind the home and away not being there anymore.
But then, what if you want revenge on that team, but you can't play them? You're playing away. You want to play them, and you're like,
That's all right. You
I
get
missed
it
out on it.
You get it later on.
But I guess you can't have it all. Right now, it's different. I still need some time to process it all past the group stage. But so far, I don't know. I feel like there's less on the line. Just because there's more games, there's less on the line. Like last year's Champions League, every game meant a little bit more because there were fewer.
But at the same time, can't you say that seeing the team scramble in the end, like a PSG and a Manchester City, they were scrambling until the final day. Not very often in the old group format, they were scrambling until, I feel like the last two games didn't really matter that much. Like the top two teams in the group almost always went through. So maybe they didn't prioritize correctly the 8 matches earlier on, or they slipped up and they had, because in the end of the day, the matches actually, I think, meant a lot. No,
well,
you don't agree?
No, I don't disagree, but definitely in the beginning, I do feel like the teams were much more relaxed because they knew
I agree.
there's still a bunch of more games to catch up, and maybe that was kind of their downfall on some of them. But then again, Man City, if we're talking about Man City, they've been playing pretty horrible this season, so I don't think it's the UEFA's format they're doing
it's more like Dinamo, right? Dinamo was upset. They win the game, Cannavaro's team, and they still go out, or even Stuttgart. Because I think coming into the tournament, UEFA gave like a 99% chance that if you hit their threshold of points in the tournament, you would be okay to stay in, and then they didn't get there. But I mean, that's the luck of the draw. Did you enjoy that 18 games at once, or was it overwhelming?
That was too much.
You didn't like it?
Overdrive, because you couldn't pay attention to anything. It was just like trying to see a little bit of everything, but at the end of the day, when that happens, you really don't see anything.
I feel like you need to have 2 screens, and you need to have one that has all the goals coming in.
Guys, we have 5 screens here, and Antonio's complaining that we need more TVs. And this is the studio. Imagine someone at home that just has one TV.
What was the setup?
What was the setup?
Yeah, what was the setup? What was on the main TV?
For yesterday's game?
For Champions League.
Milan was on.
Milan was on the main TV?
Because Anto was the first one here. He sat right in front of the TV.
What was on the top one, the secondary?
At first we had Atalanta, but then Peter came, and then we switched it.
The game was over so quickly.
And your dad, to be honest, your dad thought Atalanta had no chance.
Really?
And I was like, Gaetano, what are you...
Oh, I completely
And I was
disagree.
like, Gaetano, I think Atalanta could really do something. It's like, nah, they're going to lose by 3. And I was
Come
like, I don't think
on.
so I was watching it. And then the other 3 monitors, I was watching Atalanta.
So you had Inter Monaco that was 3-0 with a red man on the secondary TV?
We switched back and forth a few times with them.
I think you got to watch the Golasso show. Like, you have to have the goals coming in, watch your team, and then you have a Golasso show of everything that's happening.
We did switch the Golasso
there was too many good games
afterwards because the Inter game was pretty much boring, and there was just so many other games. We had a bunch of other people screaming goals every 2 seconds, and it was just mayhem.
I enjoyed it, though. I have to say, my take would be, I didn't like the format coming into this. I actually hated it. I was like, why are they complicating it? I don't like the more teams being added in. I still think 36 teams is a lot for me, but I think that it added an element of excitement that we wanted. We got a lot of big matchups. I feel like every week there was something to talk about. There was some blockbuster. The group format for me was boring. I mean, you knew what was going to happen for the most part. How many big teams really went out of the group stage, right? And I know they don't go out this, but at least the top 8, you got a Cinderella story. You got like a Lille that went through. You got an Aston Villa that was sort of an upset. I think it gives a chance to the smaller teams to be able to make a case, and we still got big matchups. We had some really good games overall in the format. It's going to take time. I think I need like a year or two of seeing it completely, but I will say that I feel like I was wrong in the beginning for judging it too harshly and thinking that it wasn't going to be good. I think we got a lot of great matchups, and I think it brought excitement to the table.
I mean, I didn't really judge it only because I just was so confused by the whole thing, and I was like, hey, this is kind of not fair with both home and LA, because we had Champions League. That's how it was for forever since we were growing up. So we just thought that was the norm, and just a little bit of change, like it's gonna take some time to process. Regardless.
You need a PhD to figure this out, especially the knockouts. Now this is where I say I really enjoyed the format so far with the 8 games, but I don't like what they're doing next with the matchups. And maybe we'll start off with this, and then we'll talk about the games in depth. And I'm gonna go through Champions League first. So because Inter finished in the top 8, Inter will play either Milan, PSV, Feyenoord, and Juventus. There's going to be a draw. By the time you're watching this, the draw probably came out, and we'll know who's going to face off. So that's Inter. Obviously, they get the bye. Atalanta will play either Sporting or Club Brugge. That's where we're going to find out with this draw. Milan play either Feyenoord or Juventus, and then Juventus play either Milan or PSV. So I don't like that there's another draw, and then I don't like that there's a draw on top of it.
After that,
I want to know who's going to play who. And it should be the seed.
What I want to know is if these draws entail those hour-long introduction ceremonies that I'm waiting 5 o'clock in the morning to see it's over, because those are ridiculous. And if they're going to put another one on top of that, this could really be done so much more simpler. They just tweet it out or something, and we all know what's going on, because I think it's very unnecessary.
So far, that's my knock, but I'm going to trust the process. Maybe I'm wrong again about this format, but so far, I'm enjoying it. I like it. They got rid of the rule where teams from the same country can't play against each other, so that's why we can get a Milan-Juve really early on.
Which isn't good for IFTV.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
And I kind of don't like that. I don't like it either, because how many times are we going to see a derby della Madonnina? We're going to see Inter Milan another 5 times.
And the 8th derby della Madonnina of the season.
For me, it's a little boring.
It's an overkill.
But then I guess if they said that they couldn't play each other, then it would really ruin the entire bracket. So there's definitely growing pains with this. I'll say so far, I really enjoyed the format. I actually liked all the games on at the last match day. I like that we were calculating into the last second, and like if Bologna scored a goal against Sporting, then it was going to knock down Dinamo and all the different scenarios. That was fun to me. Maybe we didn't get the drama at the end, but we got the drama throughout the day. So I'll stay positive on that. Let's talk about the negatives, the big negatives. Which team disappointed you the most?
In Champions League?
Is it Milan or is it Juventus?
Well,
Milan started in the top 8. They didn't get there.
I think it's tough because they were both pretty disappointing.
We're gonna talk about both of them anyway.
They're both pretty disappointing, but at the end of the day, maybe it's hard to say. At first, I was going to say Juve, but then you're building the project. Then you want to say Milan, but then they just got a new coach.
All right, I'll say Milan. Milan's disappointing because I feel like they did a lot of good work. They had a roller coaster every year. It almost didn't make sense that they were top 8 of the Champions League. But they went to the Bernabeu. They won. And to me, the frustrating thing is you threw it all away in the last day against Dinamo.
Oh, my God.
Dinamo Zagreb.
That should have been uneasy.
It should have been. All things pointed towards that. And you get the red card. And the way that Musa gets the second yellow card. It's just so frustrating that you're not able to build on something great. I think that you could say Milan is not a top 8 team, so maybe you could say it's justified. But for me, that was really disappointing just because I expected it. I said, okay, we're going to get 2 teams at least in the top 8. I kept thinking to myself, we're going to get a third one if Atalanta can beat Barcelona, which I was convinced Atalanta was going to get a draw. But for Milan, it's just the same up and downs, the lack of spirit, the lack of fight. Conceição, after the game, coming out and saying that we don't win any of our duels. We miss the basics of football. Now they're shipping out Morata. Something must have happened after the match. He's going to Galatasaray out of nowhere. Hopefully they get this deal done with Jimenez. Otherwise, they have nobody because also...
Pavlovic might go too, right?
Pavlovic, I think they need to keep. Pavlovic, they have to keep. Kamada is the one I was going to mention. He's going to Monza. So they need a striker. They need a lot of things. I think it really shows Milan's Mercato in the summer was a disaster. Fonseca, the coach that they brought in, sacked. Emerson Royal, if he didn't get injured, he would have been gone. Pavlovic, they were trying to sell until a week ago. And now Morata, the striker that they got, he's gone after 6 months.
The best one was Pulisic, and Pulisic has been battling some injuries.
But he wasn't a new signing. I mean, out of the new signings.
Oh, out of the new signings, yeah.
And Fofana, I mean, he plays a lot, so I get that there's a dip, but he hasn't convinced me. Not completely. Not completely.
But it's also, you're going to get these disappointing signings when you have directors that don't coincide with the coach that gets sacked after a certain amount of time and then gets another coach. It's kind of, it's not just, Milan's problem doesn't just fall on a coach or some players. It falls within the whole organization. And right now, they're kind of in the midst of a lot of stuff right now. But we can go on and on.
But it's the same. The thing is, Conceição is seeing the same problems that Fonseca had.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't fall solely on a single person or just a few players. I feel like it's a whole organizational thing.
I keep feeling this has been the thing that I keep saying to myself about Milan season. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong. It's almost unbelievable the amount of moments that we've had in 6 months. Think about this one against Dinamo because, again, I mentioned you beat Real Madrid. You do so great. You could be in the top 8, which would have been crazy. You throw it away against Dinamo. Last week, Conceição's chasing after the captain Calabria, wanting to hit him live on TV. Then you got Theo and Leao, who went to the water cooler on the side and didn't listen to Fonseca as the coach. Then you got Leao coming out and saying, oh, Fonseca used to talk behind our back and, we didn't respect him. Then you got Pulisic, who gets the penalty taken away from him twice, not listening to the coach's orders in the moment. How many different things, and you're on your second coach, how many different things can Milan fans deal with in one single season?
It's been a roller coaster of a season. I just feel like the expectations were high in the beginning, and them lowering it down to what the reality is now makes it more disappointing. Just like I really feel like a similar case with Juventus too, with Motta and how their season is. I feel like in terms of started it kind of hot and now kind of hitting reality in terms of, okay, this is really going to be a project. All the Juve fans, I think, thought that, but then he was doing, I guess, maybe better than expected. But now kind of hitting reality and be like, okay, this is going to take longer than we
We'll get
thought.
to that. I want to build a little bit more on Milan because I think it really shows their strength. When you're seeing a coach like Conceição, who I think he's a very capable coach, I think he could very well turn the team around and do well if he gets some signings and he's given a little bit of time. But when he comes out saying we lack the fundamentals, I have to sub Theo and Leao on because we can't rely on them every single week. We can't just be desperate for them. We're not winning duels. We're not winning the 50-50 balls. How was Pioli doing this last year and got this team to finish second place? Granted, it was a large lead, but there wasn't this much turmoil under Stefano Pioli. Is it the new signings coming in? Was Pioli just really good as a man manager? Because I don't think that it can be Fonseca and Conceição are just thrown under the bus. Or was this something that was coming for a little while and now it's finally come to its head?
I think if Pioli stayed, this would have happened regardless.
Okay.
It was just... I just felt like it was in the air. But Pioli was kind of the saving grace in terms of, okay, we still won the Scudetto with him. So they kind of were riding it out a little bit more because it was more sentimental. But I think it was going to happen regardless. And now you got a new coach that's screaming, doing this, we got to do this. Be like, who is this guy? He just came. There's a second coach.
But Leao said he likes him. Leao said we'll die for him. So you got that.
But I feel like there's so many contradicting things. You see that, then on the field, what happens?
Yeah, it's so true.
There's like jabs, he's throwing post match. Like, what's going on? You don't really know what's good. It's like very bipolar, back and forth, and you're just like, what's happening?
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad because I do think there's a lot of really good talent within the squad. When I see it, and I say to myself, I don't think that they were going to fight for the Scudetto. I think that anyone who did, you were overestimating the team.
Yeah.
But they're certainly not supposed to be having the season that they have. I think another thing that always sticks out to me is when Pioli said there was not a single day that I didn't have to motivate Theo Hernandez. I mean, not a single day you had to motivate Theo Hernandez. That's another one that maybe he dealt with really well. He knew the strings to pull. It's a shame. It's a shame, and I think you're just going to be continuing to see these up and downs. They could have these really highs and go on and win a Supercoppa out of nowhere when up 2-0, down 2-0 against Inter, and then you throw it away against Dinamo. Shout out to Fabio Cannavaro, though. At least it was him that won.
Softens the blow a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he prepared for this match extremely well. He knew what he had to do against Milan. Unfortunate that he goes out.
But Milan just shoot themselves in the foot.
For sure. But we got to give credit as well.
Yeah.
I also just like his style. He's gone into very difficult places. He has not taken the easy route as a coach. Some coaches, especially big names, I think he's obviously Ballon d'Or winner, but has such a high profile. But he went to Udinese in a relegation fight last year. So he's not scared to do some of the difficult things that could backfire and look really stupid in front of your face.
He reminds me of Gattuso, where he took the hard way out just because he was a big name. He didn't want to go to a bigger club, and he wanted to start from scratch, from the ground up, which I really
But he's not
respect.
Controlled by Jorge Mendes.
Exactly.
Maybe that's the only difference.
That's another thing.
Let's talk about the other disappointment. Let's get all the negatives out of the way. Juventus. I mean, can we just go back into our last podcasts and just keep replaying what we've been saying? Actually, it might be worse now because forget about we've argued, Juventus, they go up in matches because usually they're not behind in a lot of matches throughout the season. It's very, very rare. They've dropped 17 points from winning positions. That's been their problem. It's not scoring the second goal. It's the young team. They fall asleep, crazy mistakes. This one, you're at home. And I get that you have a terrible record against Benfica. Benfica have 7 wins out of the last 9 against Juventus. Unbeaten. No.
Take those two.
But it means style-wise, Benfica's not even a great team right now either.
Yeah, they're very inconsistent.
They're not great. Yeah. Probably shout out to your boy.
Well, it was mostly Gatti's defending.
True, but he scored 4 goals in the last 2 matches, so give the Greeks some love.
And
but
assist.
you see,
if we're giving love, we gotta give love, no?
But it was the lack of attitude and spirit. Again, you want to argue Allegri style, Thiago Motta style. Oh, I like to play a counterattack, defend. Oh, I like to press up. What? Forget about that. Forget about the tactics, the attitude, the spirit. What Juventus is supposed to mean, especially at home. They got booed. How many times have they gotten booed at home where you got the fans saying 40 coglioni? Show some.
Yeah.
Show something. How can you lack that in a team? Again, you could like different styles, but you can't be missing that. And I feel like we can't just keep saying, they're missing Bremer. And it is true that there's a massive dip in quality. They conceded 1 goal in 9 games with Bremer there. They look great. But then you look at what Napoli does with Buongiorno being out and Juan Jesus comes in and they do well. So we can't always look for an excuse. There's definitely blame all over because Juventus going into a Champions League match with 4 natural defenders. 2 of them were playing in Serie A a couple months ago. And then you got Weah and McKennie playing as fullbacks. One's a bricklayer. And
former bricklayer.
Oh my gosh. There's no way Thiago Motta likes him.
He looked like a bricklayer on those goals.
He's played a lot of games, to be fair. And then Kalulu goes out injured right away.
Yeah.
But you can't keep using the excuse of the injuries.
Yeah.
I
mean, Juve looked very toothless that game. They looked bad. Their defense was very bad. They could have conceded another one from a mistake. But who was it? I see his face, but I can't see his name.
Okay. It's all right. Just go on.
Perin.
Perin,
he saved a shot that there was a mix-up in defense again.
It's like what he did against Stuttgart.
But they're all defensive, non-communication. Like, and they're all looking at it. They're all pointing. If you see the goal, they're all pointing fingers, doing this, and I was like, what's wrong with?
Where do you think? Do you think it comes down to more Giuntoli and management for putting this squad together, or do you think it's more Thiago Motta?
I think it's a mix of injuries. It's a mix of Thiago Motta.
If you had to say what it is more out of all of it, because I have real question marks about Giuntoli.
Motta also takes blame. Giuntoli, yes, you could say, because look at.
For me, they have more to blame than Motta. Motta, he's a young coach. I'm not to give him an excuse, but he's a young coach. He's never been in this situation before. Yeah. He has a team that he wants to play a certain way. He doesn't have all the players because of the injuries, and his reading of the game needs to improve. The substitutions need to improve. His communication needs to improve. And you wish that he could adapt with their matches. But at the same time, Giuntoli put together a team that had 1 striker going into a competition in a really long season. you got no defenders. And then you look at what they're doing in the transfer market. We're still waiting for them to make any moves.
You can blame Giuntoli.
He spent 150 million on a midfield, and the midfield's worse.
I get it. You can blame Giuntoli. I get it. Obviously, take some blame. But at the end of the day, if you're Thiago Motta, and we got the podcast guys laughing at you, saying Thiago Motta and him starting good, then always conceding second half and not motivating your players enough, showing these kinds of performances, that's a coach at the end of the day. There's only so much you can blame on Giuntoli, and then what's happening on the field. You get Primavera players that could play better style than how Juventus are playing. They play like they don't care, and that goes down to the coach. That would never happen under someone like Conte.
100%.
And that part is strictly on the coach. I'm not saying the roster, who has the name on the back of the jersey, how they play, how not motivated they are, playing at the Juventus Stadium and playing like that against Benfica, and it could have been worse.
One counter to that.
That's on Motta.
Is I feel like Juventus, they've done some good stuff, because if you go up in matches, you're doing something right? We've seen them. They have more possession. They try to control it. They have an idea. They have no creation in the final third.
No.
I mean, total disaster.
No creativity.
Confused. Everybody's looking at each other. They don't know what to do. But I'm trying to find positives, and my positive is that, they look good. They can manage a game in the beginning, but then, they can't manage a game after they get the lead. So they do well to get to that point. Is it the inexperience? Is it the lack of depth? They start to not follow the same principles and the same ideas. There's also the question marks around the way that they've handled some situations. I mentioned it before with Danilo, so I'm not going to go further. But now Dusan Vlahovic looks like he's gone from Juventus. And this is a player that you spent 70+ million on. He was supposed to be the focal point. We thought that Allegri was the problem with him, that he's not going to get the service that he needs. Now this year, he's got the same issues. He doesn't play. He gets benched in the last couple matches. He only comes in the last few minutes, even though Juventus are desperate for goals. And then I still say to myself, how can you not get the guy involved? I get that he's not on form. I get that he doesn't do exactly what Motta wants, because his hold-up play, and he likes a false nine and this and that. But for me, I still believe that Vlahovic, you get him the ball in the right positions. Yes, he's missed. Every striker misses. But in the right system, he would score a lot of goals. Maybe this is not the right system, but I still think when Vlahovic leaves Juventus, because it feels like he's going to leave, and a team is probably going to get a good deal on him, Juventus is going to look back and say, damn, we had this great striker who's going to go on somewhere and score a lot of goals.
Yeah, okay, 100%. We all know Vlahovic is a great striker. Not world class, he's a great striker, but he doesn't fit Motta style, and he's going to let another player like him go, just like we've been talking about Chiesa, who's also, I think, probably one of, I would say, very close to world class. And he let him go just because he didn't fit his formation.
What a disaster.
And you can give a lot of slack if that coach is making you win games. But he's not making Juve. He's making Juve look bad right now. And now there's going to be criticism at the end of the day. Because, they're great players at the end of the day. And those kind of players will flourish on the majority of the teams they go, where they provided service, crosses, and that's not what he's getting.
Like
at
an
Juventus.
Erling Haaland type.
100%.
We're talking about in the past.
He's
or like a
just
Bayern Munich. Or I think, honestly, I do think that. Maybe I'm crazy.
No.
Maybe I am crazy, and I'm going to be wrong.
Your confidence is always going to be low. A striker, that's number one confidence. So if you're not playing consistently, if you're not scoring, that comes a lot down to the service. Not saying
But he has missed some crazy chances,
He did miss crazy chances. He's missing the pass, though. But at the end of the day, he still had high-scoring seasons.
He scored 20+ goals at Fiorentina.
That's what he still had high. But the thing with Fiorentina is they fed him
He needs Vincenzo Italiano.
But
Go back to Bologna.
But they need a coach with that gives him a lot of chances. And at Juve, you're not getting a lot. If you see their expected goals, it's not very high.
I just feel like, I'm not saying that he's not to blame, but I feel like he's so easy. He's like the lightning rod. Everybody's just throwing him under the spotlight because it's so easy. You want to feel better about yourself. Yeah. But I still don't believe that he's totally the issue. And I think it's a shame that you can't find a way. I get that maybe he doesn't do exactly what you wanted coming in, and Motta did not sign him. This is from previous. But I think that you need to be able to get the guy to go. He still has goals. Find a way. Play Colomwani and him up top together. Play two strikers. Change it up.
But see, the thing with Motta is it's his way, or
Which
if
is
it's
annoying.
not, I feel like he just gives you the cold shoulder and he just frees
you
out.
He can't take out Koopmeiners. Koopmeiners is not putting in any good performances, but he always plays him. some of the decisions are shocking. I still want to believe that I think that Motta's gonna be the guy. I think that he can build a project. The rumor that we were just talking about before that's on our Twitter is that no matter what happens this year and even the next year, even if you don't qualify for Champions League, Motta's going to be the guy. Juventus is a club that values stability. They don't want to create this instability. And I guess you could look out there and say, who else can you get in the world? But it's
a
tough.
It's going to be growing pains.
It's tough.
Juve in the beginning, they said they want to do a project. So when you build a project, you can't think can't think irrationally and just make a rash decision. They're gonna have to stick with him regardless where they finish on the table or not.
And
That's what I think.
He needs help. He needs help from the
yeah,
club.
of course.
The club needs to back him up. All right, let's go to let's do Atalanta. Shall we do Atalanta?
Yeah.
Game, and it was a crazy game. Barca had so much possession, but Atalanta had chances.
Man,
Freaking
they don't back
offside.
down. Yeah, I know.
Offside from Zapata.
Atalanta don't back down. Those guys are such
love
fighters.
them.
I feel like they're such a, other than Inter, obviously, you're doing amazing. They're such a great
love
representation for Serie A.
Yep.
They don't back down. They don't have those stupid moments that this season Juve and Milan have. And I don't know. I feel like they wear their badge on their chest very proud.
Well
And Gasperini, he's so proud of this team. He built this incredible project, and he does not let anyone forget that.
Yeah, I love it. I love Barca played so many of their starters as well. It was like full strength.
Yeah,
even though they were.
I don't know why
already
they went so
qualified.
hard.
I know. I was hoping they wouldn't.
Yeah.
I was certain that they were going to get a result. I was praying that it was going to be a win.
I mean, that is a result. That's
Yeah,
a very
yeah.
good result.
No, I was certain of it. There was like no doubt that they were going to go and get one.
You have to talk to your
because
dad.
because of the
Bring it up to
DNA of the team. Like they never back down.
Yeah, I wasn't
and also
surprised.
Barca concede a lot of. I know they score a lot of goals. This was first versus third in most goals so far.
Yeah,
Barca 103 goals in 33 games, averaging over 3 goals a game.
Crazy.
Ridiculous. But when I watch them, and for me, Barca's not winning anything this year. They're not okay.
They're too leaky.
Champions League and La Liga is what I'm talking about. The other cups, I don't know. They're not going to do it because for me, and maybe I'm old school, you still need to defend well. And that high line against smart teams, they're going to be able to expose you in the long term. You're going to have great games. You're going to have exciting ones like Benfica, Barca. And maybe that fits Barca's history because Johan Cruyff once said, I'd rather win a game. I think he said 4-3
than 1-0.
Than 1-0, something like that. But I still don't think they're going to go that far, and that's why I believed in Atalanta. It's just a shame. They also have Scalvini, who might need a surgery now. Zaniolo's gone. He got rid of Zaniolo, so he can't perform miracles, Gasperini. Zaniolo's beyond saving.
Zaniolo's got to, if Gasperini can't revive you, but
that's it.
Start looking at a different career path.
That's it. He's going to back to Fiorentina, and hopefully he could do well there. Maybe Palladino could find a way. Maybe he needs a lot less.
Him with Moyes.
No, it's not even less.
Him
pressure.
with Moyes would be interesting.
I don't know. No, it's not. Remember when they showed up late to Azzurri training?
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it was them two.
Was it?
They were. I'm pretty sure
it was Moyes
Keane and
someone
Zaniolo.
else.
I think it was Zaniolo, and then Mancini.
They had a fun night, whatever.
No,
Spalletti's there now.
Yeah, but now when you're a youngster, you can't be doing that stuff. So yeah, they're probably gonna get Daniel Maldini, which I think is really good for us. I think that if there's anybody that get the most out of him, it would be Gasperini. Maldini's got the talent; he's just not consistent enough, but he clearly has something.
I mean, and he's playing in a relegation team that's gonna go to Serie B.
I heard when Nesta was a coach, he said he just needs to do it more often in the match. He can't have these little sparks.
Yeah.
He just needs to always be involved more, and that'll happen with youngsters. So I'm happy for them. I've been screaming that they need to sign a defender. Now you got Scalvini who's gone down. You get Kosunu who's been in and out of injuries. I don't know if they're ever going to learn that they need to sign defenders. That's the one knock on Atalanta that I've had for quite some time.
You can't have it all.
You can't have it all. Nobody's perfect.
No.
Ederson's freaking amazing. I love that guy.
From Salernitana, cheap buy.
He was a 10 at Salernitana too. He played as a 10. He is an all-out midfielder now. Box to box.
He's good, man.
Guy's got 5 lungs.
He has lungs, yeah.
Retegi's amazing. Charles de Catalare. This is a sneaky dark horse for the Champions League. Depending on how the format plays out, how the draw is, if they get a little luck, if they could avoid Liverpool, Real Madrid,
especially early on,
if they can avoid that, this team is scary. Europa League champions. Hopefully they could do it. I'm sad that they missed out on the top 8. I think that they deserve to be in the top 8.
Yeah, they definitely deserve. But I think they'll be.
They were
fine.
so unlucky. The game against Real Madrid, freaking Retegui can score that goal,
Oh my
that he
God.
had it perfect. Against Arsenal, Retegui missed the penalty. They dominated Arsenal. And then there was another game. Celtic was poor. Celtic, the fact
What
that they
was
didn't
it?
win that.
0-0? 1-1?
0-0, I think it was.
Yeah, I
Celtic
think that was a bad performance.
Celtic was
overall.
the bad one. And then I think there was one more unlucky moment. I mean, even against Barcelona.
I think
the
they'll be
offside
fine
by-
to the
by
playoffs
close.
though.
I know, it's just
Yeah, I know.
it would have been nice.
They could have saved 2 matches.
It would have been nice.
And it does affect. This is a big thing. It does affect 2 extra matches they gotta play. Extra than a team that didn't.
Dude,
that already
makes
qualified
a
top
makes
eight.
a big
Huge,
difference.
especially for the race.
So thank God
Top
Inter
4, top
represented us well in
they played
in the
good.
Champions League. They made Monaco look very easy. A Monaco side that just beat Aston Villa, and we just said Aston Villa's in the top 8. They're very clever. They could hit you out on the counter. They got a young team.
Inter
Even
looked
though
like-
they're in poor form,
Yeah.
Monaco they made Monaco look very easy.
Dude, when Inter play, it looks like a party. They're all laughing, smiling. They're like telling inside jokes. They're like, this looks amazing.
They did a bottle flip.
Dude,
Did you see
whenever-
the Thuram doing the bottle flip?
Dude, whenever I see them play, it looks like a college party. They're just
so funny.
chilling. And I was like, that looks so much fun. And then you see like a team, Milan or Juventus, like struggling, pointing
Fighting
at
each other.
And I was like, yo, that's crazy.
I love it.
how much Inzaghi built. Yo, I had some doubts from Inzaghi going from Lazio to Inter. Be like, I don't know if he could be the manager. But yo, he leveled up as a manager. And we were talking about him. I remember those podcasts when we were saying, his time's up. He just needed
dad
time.
hated him.
He just needed time.
To think about, to go 8 games and only concede 1 goal. And you look at the matchups that they had, the Manchester Cities, the Arsenals.
And they rotate, man.
They not only did they rotate, they played their bench more than they played their starters. Yeah. They took Serie A as the primary competition, and Champions League they were in second gear. Which is
the opposite usually.
And they only conceded 1 goal. They had 7 clean sheets out of 8. Lautaro was not good in the first half of the season. Not good in terms of goal scoring. Yeah, obviously, he helps contribute to the team. He's heating up. He gets his hat trick. He's the most top goal scorer for Inter in the Champions League history, beating out Adriano with 17 goals. That's a positive. Dumfries has gotten a lot better in 2020. Did I say 2015 before? 2025. Maybe. Jeez, 10 years off. There's so much momentum going for Inter. They're vastly underrated in terms of the odds to win the Champions League. I think it's incredible. I saw Manchester City has better odds to win the Champions League than Inter. They're not up there with the list, which maybe is a good thing. I think teams are starting to take notice. And for some reason, I said it last week or 2 weeks ago, I think Inter win the Champions League. If I had to make a bet right now, I will go with them. Not to say
it's
that
hard to say.
obviously Liverpool
good,
the favorites. Liverpool the favorites. But I don't think Liverpool are perfect. I know they go unbeaten and they do really great.
No, they lost their last game.
Did they lose?
Yeah, they lost 3-2 against PSG.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. There we go. You see?
Well,
nobody's perfect.
to be fair,
it was their cheat team.
Squad.
Chiesa started. He earned the penalty.
Chiesa played great.
Yeah, heard.
He got he shot on the goal, which came the second goal from his shot.
And he got the penalty.
He won the penalty.
He's gonna be good. He's gonna be good for them.
Well,
he's gonna be good. He just needed time. Arne Slot said it. He came late into the mercato, into the transfer market.
He's got to work.
And he didn't have the full preseason, so it's normal. And he's already a player that dealt with a lot of injuries.
I think
Liverpool fans are gonna fall in love with Federico Chiesa because he's kind of like an English type player where he's very direct.
Yeah.
He's fast.
He's not lateral.
He could burst. Yeah, he's none of this BS back passing stuff.
And he doesn't really. Who is that? Is that Motta?
No, it's not Motta. What were we saying? Yeah, I think they're gonna love Chiesa. On Inter though, I think that if I had to make a bet, I would say Liverpool are the favorites. I know that. Real Madrid, I'm never counting them out. They could very well go on and win it. And Mbappe's starting to click. Rodrigo's amazing. Valverde gives them such good balance. We know how good Jude is.
Mbappe's
Defensively, they have their issues. But I think that there's no runaway winner. And I think Inter wouldn't be able to win if there was a runaway. If there was like the Man Cities of the past, and we know that they went on and won it. In other Champions League, there was a dominant team that I said, how's anyone gonna beat them? I think Inter can match against anyone.
You wouldn't put Liverpool as a runaway winner?
They're favorites. They're the favorites.
That's why I think Liverpool first, and everyone else is fighting for second. Liverpool also very comfortably beat Madrid, like very comfortably.
I'm hoping they haven't done a lot of rotations though, Liverpool, and they look tired in some of their matches, and they had a couple slip ups here and there. So I'm hoping as the season goes on, Inter start to progress and hit their right form.
Yeah.
Yo, honestly,
it's
Atletico
possible.
too. Atletico, I love watching
They're such a
Atletico
scrap,
Madrid.
dude. I hate Simeone's team.
Really? I love them.
No, if you're playing against them, like
They're
if an
so much
Italian
fire.
team plays against them, it's the worst.
Anybody.
Because they're so scrappy.
Yeah, but they're different
It's
too
so
now. They attack well.
And you're not gonna
With
don't
Julian
expect to
Alvarez-
win more. If you win, don't expect to win more than 1-0.
No, but they different. Honestly, I think Simeone, he's pushing the team to attack more. Of course, they always have their basis and they always have the same principles. But
They're so
they're
physical,
electric
too.
going forward. When you think about it, they got Sorloth, they got Griezmann, they got Julian Alvarez.
Too, right?
The guy's
He's
I
scoring.
love him. The Pole is getting into it now. So they're well balanced. They went on 15 wins in a row. Doing 15 wins in a row is not easy.
It's gonna be hard for him to win a
I would put them up there. I would put them up there.
second. I put them in the
I put them
same
fourth.
What do you mean fourth?
Fourth.
Fourth what?
Fourth in my power ranking.
Oh, who's second?
Real Madrid still.
Third?
Inter.
Inter.
And then I'll
Okay,
put
that's
it. I'll
fair.
throw Atletico there, just because I don't know why I feel something about them.
Sure. Madrid always.
But I'm gonna say Inter
Madrid always
Inter
surprise.
to win. Inter to win Champions League. I
It wouldn't
see
be
it.
crazy at all. I mean,
see it.
they're obviously a very
If you had
capable
to
team.
guess now, you would say Liverpool. You're saying Liverpool?
If I had to put everything I own, I would probably put Liverpool. But if it can be
Life depended on it. Going Liverpool.
It's hard. How could you not?
It's true.
Right?
It's
But
true.
it wouldn't be crazy if Inter win. Inter right there. I think a half. I don't know if it's a full step behind Liverpool, but a half a
They
step
need to avoid Real Madrid.
for sure.
Inter need to avoid Real Madrid. I don't like Real Madrid. I don't like playing against Real Madrid.
Dude,
just
Ancelotti
don't
figured
die.
out playing Mbappe as striker now.
Good luck to
Dude,
the rest of the league.
Yeah, it's tough.
He's got
it's
more.
tough.
He scored 22 goals quicker than Cristiano Ronaldo did in Real Madrid, and everyone was talking about him. Oh, he can't make it. He's not gonna do this. Him and Vinny can't play together. What a problem. Champagne problems. These guys.
Yeah, I know, right?
Come on.
What a
Come
tough life
on.
it must be to be a Madrid fan, man. Jesus.
Shall we talk about Europa League? I think we got through
Yeah.
everybody in Champions League. Bologna went out. Bologna tied against Sporting. I was really happy to see that.
I'm still happy about that comeback win over Dortmund.
Yeah.
So they won in my heart.
They were another one. How you said, I knew with Atalanta, I knew they were going to get a result.
Against Dortmund?
No,
Who?
Bologna against Sporting.
Oh, Bologna
I
against
knew they were going to
Sporting.
get a result. I was hoping it was going to be a win. But
Sporting have been very back and forth ever since they lost Amorim to Man
on
U.
match day 4, they were second place in the table. And now they fell. They barely qualified. If another goal, they would have been out. Bologna heated up too late. They got into it too late.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
literally what it comes down to. They couldn't score goals. He got his team very late, Italiano, figuring out how to manage it. Now Bologna is a machine. I'm telling these guys, I wouldn't be surprised if they fight for that 5th place spot in Serie A come
Well,
the
I
end of the
mean,
year.
since they're eliminated from Europe, the chances
I
definitely
like them
increase
a
for
lot.
them.
I like them a lot. Let's talk about the Europa League. Lazio lost, but they
The
still
fir-
got through. Sparta Prague, first place.
Their first loss of Europa League, but they still managed to be first.
Like Liverpool.
Yeah, there we go. Based on I believe goal difference, so they ended first place. Huge congratulations! I didn't expect them to go
Not first.
anywhere near that.
Not first. Not coming into this, no.
Yeah, definitely not.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they go. I think Europa League's another one. There's no
the
out and
bookies
out.
have them to win it a little.
They have them to win it?
The percentage
There's
a little
no
bit
way.
higher.
No way.
I'm pretty sure.
Come
they have
on.
it.
There's got to be. I bet you Manchester United is still the favorite.
But it's like very slim, I believe.
I wouldn't be surprised if.
Who? Man U?
I wouldn't be surprised if Lazio win the Europa League.
No, why?
I don't think
mean,
that they could be
look
the
how
favorites,
Well, they
though.
did.
Damn, this is gonna take a little while.
I think with them, I think the big thing with Lazio is they kept it going. They know what they're doing, and it's just more managing it. Baroni, I think he's a fantastic coach. I think he's done a lot of work compared to previous Lazio coaches since Inzaghi. I think he's been the best coach.
Absolutely.
I mean, Sarri, I feel like we're giving him a lot of the benefit of the doubt.
He did make that team finish in second place, though.
Sarri?
Yeah.
Yeah, but how did he do it?
No, Man United still first. Man United, Tottenham, Atletico Bilbao, and
By
then
how much?
Lazio.
Is it maybe after
Plus-
these results?
Plus 470. Actually, Man United and Tottenham are tied at
maybe
plus
it was from the
470.
maybe it was from the last
And then
results.
Atletico Bilbao is plus 500, and then Lazio's plus 700. Not a bad bet to make if you were a betting person. Roma's pretty high up there. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to be. Let me read out the draw of what could happen for them as well. I'm reading this on Sky Italia right now. Roma have to play either Ferencváros or Porto. And then we could have Italian teams linked up again. Lazio, because they go to the next round, they will play one of Roma, Victoria Pilsen, Ferencváros, or Porto. Can you imagine a derby? Della Capitale?
No, that's not good.
It's not good.
It's not good.
Or is it good because then you get a team guarantee? Nah, it's not good.
No, because they can realistically both go through.
Yeah.
Very
You're
realistically.
right. Roma won, which was important for them to do.
Because they also had a pretty shaky back and forth season, right?
Listen, Ranieri, it's going to be his last year at Roma. If he could go far in the Europa League, Roma's a team that's prioritized European competition in the last couple of years. They had a good history. They went to the Europa League final, lost in penalty kicks against Sevilla, Conference League, won the Conference League. So they need to go far, but they had a very disappointing Europa League. I was so sad to watch them because, like I said, they gave me life. I used to watch them in the Europa League, and a lot because of Jose Mourinho, and they always wanted to win. They fought, and they played such good football, and it's kind of like Lazio's become that. Like beating Real Sociedad, I never expected.
Mourinho was always big on the European comps. But yeah, Roma, they look like they don't really care too much about it. I think Ranieri just wants to focus on getting a high. He's thinking more realistic and be like, my job was to keep them as high as possible in Serie A, and I'm gonna throw everything else out the window. Which is fair.
You have to get to the next round and then, play your cards and.
It's still
it wouldn't surprise me if they start coming together.
There's more teams than last season. It's even harder to win it. I feel like he's just being realistic and be like, Europa League is going to be a stretch and it's going to thin out my squad.
The teams that I just wrote there, I said Manchester United. I don't think is winning no Europa League. Tottenham is not winning the Europa League. Not the way that they defend. Athletic is good. They're a good team. The Spanish Lions are freaking incredible. They're incredible in knockout competitions, and Italian teams always struggle. But for me, Lazio's right up there. I would put them second to win the competition. You don't agree?
Not that I don't agree. It's tough. Because I just feel like there's a lot of question marks all around this Europa League.
So you know how I said I really like the Champions League format? I have to say I don't like the Europa League one. Too many teams. There's like too much at stake. It's too complicated. The quality, I think, is you got to cut out teams. It's hard to follow, especially after coming off of a Champions League day. Then you check out all these games, and I feel like it already got diluted. You diluted the Champions League. Now you're diluting the Europa League even more.
Too many Wi-Fi passwords. Way too many.
Someone's
going.
It's interesting.
They got to do a Wheel of Fortune, not two-legged ties. Who's getting out?
I think they need to cut out teams. It's already open and it's already exciting that you got these beautiful stories, but we also can't have too low of quality. Like Slovan Bratislava could have been in the Europa League, not in the Champions League. You know what I'm saying? So now it's just like keeps going down the pecking order.
Dude,
I don't like it.
I don't like it. Slovan and one other team that finished with 0, and I'm just like. That's crazy.
Yeah, even if you do by mistake, you should get a point.
You know what?
Slovan and Young Boys.
You know what the equivalent of that is? When this happened to me a lot. When you fail, when you get the lowest score on a test, and everyone knows it, and you're just looking at the classroom.
That was the worst.
That's like now looking at 0 points. That's just like.
Remember the teacher? She used to read it the opposite way too, and you just didn't want your name to be called.
My teacher that did it. He embarrassed us. He put it. If your name was read first, that means you got the lowest. Mm-hmm. Dude, the amount of times I was second or third to the last.
So you weren't quite Young Boys. You were like Leipzig.
Yeah.
Right above Girona.
I was like right above, or like maybe third from the bottom.
He was doing it to motivate you, maybe.
Dude, that made me not want to go to school.
You got to get sent to the Europa League.
Chemistry is tough.
Chemistry's.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, physics. Physics was.
Dude, I didn't even get to that class.
I hate it. And your sister's a science teacher.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest part. You couldn't make her help you?
No. Dude, I didn't want to. An extra minute I have to talk about school was something I didn't want to do.
Fair enough. All right, guys, let us know if you like the formats. Let us know everything that we talked about. The transfers, we went through them. Morata's leaving.
And Fiorentina also in the playoffs for the Conference League. Yeah.
Fiorentina, they need to do well. They need to do well.
2-leg playoffs.
hopefully the Italian teams can pull through and get that fifth Champions League
I think the
spot.
coefficients,
because
La Liga's
right there.
breathing on the necks.
Because if you don't get 5 spots, everything I've said about Milan
Anto's
and
gonna have a bad
Juventus
year.
getting
Marco's gonna
Champions
have a
League
bad-
spots
Yeah,
is not going to be good.
it's gonna be scrappy.
Then it's going to be squeaky bum time, as they say in England.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know what it means, but I think it works.
I'm not translating that because I don't know what that is.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, drop a comment, and we'll talk to you soon.
Ciao,
Ciao
guys.
ragazzi.
And forza body.